Miss Janice said her takeaway was the clarifying questions. Those are some really good questions. I hope y'all screenshot that, wrote those down. If you add them to your consultations, if you add them in your personal conversations, if you're in a relationship, in a relationship, and you have to question your spouse or your significant other, start using that. Was that the best course of action at the time? What made you decide to do that? Instead of be like, you big dummy, like why would you do that? But what made you decide to do that? That just sounds so much more pleasant and confrontational. What made you do that? Or what made you decide to do that? Or have you thought about your next step? I love, have you thought about your next step? Especially in with buyers or sellers, say a contract falls through. That's a great question. Have you thought about your next step? Like, what do we do now? And they could be like, I don't even want to look for no more houses. I'm gonna sign my lease. That's a great question to find out what someone's next step is. Have you thought about your next step? We always say, well, what we gonna do now? Or we always simplify it, but what we gonna do now kind of sounds a little down. But have you thought about your next step? It also allows people to feel in control of the situation by you kind of give them control. Words like you, adding words like you or help into your conversations or your questions, just putting it back, giving them back the ownership. Was that the best course of action at that time? Could you have done anything different? Is really a way to give back the conversation and let the other person feel more in control. So thank you again, Brenda.
How y'all doing?
Good. Hello.
That was my biggest takeaway. The allowing people to finish or complete their conversation without interruption, because I've noticed a lot of people learn differently. Like they talk over top of one another in order to get their, I guess, conversation to get heard. But the thing about it is when you do it, you don't hear that other person's conversation, nor do they hear yours. So if you allow a person to finish whatever they're saying, you can actually get all the information you need without even having to ask so many questions because they're going to tell you. So that is my big takeaway.
Yes, ma'am. This list, when I tell you people that one question, what have you done so far in this process? If you use that question as your first question during a consultation, you get the whole story. I mean, you get the good, the bad, and the ugly, and you have a better understanding of how you need to move forward before you even took the first step. So I love that question as a first question, and I love just sitting back and listening and letting them talk.